Here we are. This is all about the Best Darn Yarn Tenders. The Best Darn Yarn Tenders have been on Amazon for several years now and doing pretty well. They're very popular and are really gaining traction. The Best Darn Yarn Tenders come in two sizes. This is the size small, which goes for up to about a 5-ounce skein. And I'll show you those later. The tenders are generally about 14 inches long, as you can see. Okay, and then we have this is the size large as compared to the size small. Okay, and then we've got, here we've got a lot of uses for the tenders. What you want to do is just think logically about whenever you need to corral your yarn and keep it from flip-flopping, keep it from pooling, keep it from tangling and knotting. That's what they're for. So you want to take your tender and put it on a skein. This is a 4-ply knitting worsted weight, and this is about a 7-ounce skein perhaps, and we've got a size large net Best Darn Yarn Tender on it, and this is going to be good from the first pull to the last, as you can see, and we've got plenty of leeway for as the skein continues to decompress. Now here's another notice that this is using the entire length of the netting, but what you can also do is notice, now this is an orange, and so it's hard to see the net here a little bit, but what you can also do when the length of the skein is on the shorter side and you want to add a little bit more compression perhaps at the top, you can just gently fold this back. They're very pliable and very easy and soft on the hands, and you can create a little bit more compression like this. Okay, so while you're using it, again, you've always got plenty of leeway. And as these compress, you will be able to keep them here from the first pull to the very last. So for example, this was a 7-ounce skein, and here's where we are on this. And then at the same time, here's another one where this one perfectly was fitting into that 16 inches, and this is also a size, also the size large mesh. What you want to keep in mind is that the Best Darn Yarn Tenders are a little bit like pantyhose. When you put a pair of pantyhose on, they are going to stretch a little bit, and when you take them off, you're going to notice that they don't go back to the size that they were, but then when you put them on again, they do get the job done. So if you start out with a net on this kind of a size, and then when it gets down to nothing, you'll know that this one got the compression went out this far, so when you want to use another skein of yarn and you know it's going to be one of the larger skein of yarns, you're going to use one of your tenders that has already been stretched a little bit, versus using a brand new one. You can save that one for when you want a little more tighter compression at the beginning. Okay, so we got that. And there's that one, and as we said, we can fold that over. So again, be logical, and you can think of all kinds of ways to use the tenders. Okay, now here we are again. This is a tender that's where we have ganged 2 tenders because this skein was actually more than a 7-ounce skein, and the first one didn't quite get the whole length, so you gang it like this and you still get the job done in very good fashion, and then it still continues to work the same way. Okay, so that's a good idea there. Again, just be logical and use your common sense. Then we have the Best Darn Yarn Tender, whereby we've had some yarn spewing and a whole bunch of it has come out. So instead of cutting it and getting rid of the tangle, you're going to untangle what has come out, and then you're going to create a center pull from what has been taken out, and you're going to roll it. And then what you can do is, so that you can continue the flow of the yarn, you can just go like this and then continue it, and it gives you a seamless continuation of the use of the yarn. And this will come in handy because, like it or not, we're going to get yarn tangles and this kind of stuff is going to happen. But this makes it really, really nice to handle them well. And then you're never out of control. You're the one in control, not the yarn. Okay, so there's that. Now, for the, here is a very small skein of yarn, and this would be one that you would probably want to use the size small mesh on. The size small mesh, you'll notice the difference between, this is the small mesh. You'll see the texture is a little bit different than the large mesh. The larger mesh is has a smoother surface on it, whereas the size small mesh has a bit of a nub to it, while both of them are still very, very soft. Now, the other thing I want to mention is people have written in about how they have used the tenders to keep track of their labels, and they put their labels in the mesh along with the yarn. If you start doing that, your paper edges are going to slice your tenders, and you're going to get holes. The tenders are very delicate. You have to play very gently with them, but have as many positive points versus being that you have to be very gentle with them. So you always want to make sure you take off that wrapper before you put your skein in. So again, this is a smaller skein. It starts out smaller. You want to use a smaller mesh so you get more compression on the smaller piece. Once again, now we have this. It's also very good for cones. This is one of the sugar and cream cones, and as you can see, that works very well, and it's feeding from the outside. You just go like this, and you go like that, and that's going to continue to feed. So they work very well on cones as well. Now, by that same token, they are also very useful with sewing machine thread. So you can do all the same things that you do here with yarn. You can do the same thing for sewing machine threads with both the size small and the size large yarn tenders. The other thing we want to talk about is everything I've said here is there's more information about this on my website. If you look on this Amazon listing, you'll see the notations with my website address on it, whereby you can go to the site and download a free PDF that covers a lot of what I've talked about here. On the Amazon website page is also my phone number. Feel free to contact me if you have any questions. And that's it for now, and thank you for listening.